Hello, friends. My name is Naomi, and this is Advocate Prachi Apte, and we're both founding members of We the Women of India. Today, we have our founder member, Advocate Shobha Gupta, ma'am, who is also a senior counsel in the Supreme Court of India and a social activist. Today, we are discussing the judgment passed by the High Court of Bombay from the Nagpur bench, delivered by Justice Pushpa Ganeriwala in the matter of Satish versus State of Maharashtra. This judgment has created enough amount of anger among the society, the legal community, and the social activists. I would like to pass the mic to our speaker today, Shobha ma'am, and I would like to pose the first question to her and ask whether what is her view on the judgment as a whole. Please.
So, I have friends, Naomi, Prachi. Uh, Judgment, you rightly said, has created a lot of furor amongst who all are concerned with child rights and women rights. Women includes all ages of women, including the child or children under the age of 18. The judgment is horrendous. I'm sorry, normally we do not use these kind of terms for judgments. But judgments mean something which you are applying mind, interpreting law, provisions are being read, interpreted. Sometimes, two interpretations are possible, and the judge, while interpreting, can commit a mistake, and therefore you have a hierarchy of courts from lower courts to high court and from high court to Supreme Court. You have all that hierarchy to correct the mistakes if that happens. So, an interpretation of law is understandable. One can commit a mistake, and that can be corrected by the higher courts. Even the last court can commit a mistake in interpretation. That I understand as something, every human is fallible, so to err is human. One can commit a mistake in approaching a certain aspect of it, be it facts, be it law. The error of facts happens or the interpretation happens when, in evidence the prosecution could not put up a good case, or the complainant could not put up proper evidence. The accused lawyer was much more persuasive to be enabled to mislead or maybe convince the court in a certain way. All that is something, part and parcel of game. Game means the litigation, the matters we do in the court. What is very troubling in this judgment is that the judge gives an interpretation, and we would share on the screen the judgment itself, so to show what went so badly wrong into it. The law is clear, the sections are clear, and where it comes to whether what kind of interpretation be given. So friends, I'm sharing the judgment on the screen only for the purpose to show where are the facts are so clear, and the judge says that whatever the prosecution wanted to show, they could actually establish it. It is not a case where the judge says the prosecution could not establish the case or the facts or the allegations. Here, fortunately, even the arguments were not of the kind where the accused is putting up a certain argument. The error appears to be where the judge interprets on its own. Now, see, this is section 7, which says, whosoever with sexual intent touches the vagina, penis, anus, or breast of the child, or makes the child touch the vagina, penis, we are not concerned with the second part of it. Okay, we are concerned only with the first part, which is this part. See, so in this case, the one which we are discussing and which has become the reason for us to have this meeting done, it is not as if the court says that the prosecution could not establish their case. In fact, I'm right now sharing the relevant portion of the judgment, and let us see how the judge has dealt with it. We will refer to the section little later, which is relevant. But let us see how the judge takes it up. So read para 15 where it says a perusal of the testimony of PW1 and PW2 on the point of incident would reveal that both the witnesses are consistent on the point that the appellant pressed the breast of the prosecutrix. With regard to removing of knicker, though in her chief PW1 stated that the appellant accused was trying to remove the knicker of the daughter. However, in cross-examination, she has corrected her statement and deposed that she told the police that the appellant tried to remove salwar of her daughter. The prosecutrix deposed about removing of her salwar, so there is no confusion with regard to whether the accused tried to remove salwar or knicker. So here with this para, the judge believes two parts of this story. That is, the accused tried to disrobe the girl as far as the salwar is concerned. And secondly, she believes testimony of both PW1 and PW2, so to say that he pressed the breast of the prosecutrix. So this factual narration has not been doubted by the judge. Now, when it comes to whether pressing of a vital body part or a particular body part, would it fall within the definition of sexual assault under section 7 or not? Let us see how the judge proceeds. She says, now the question for consideration of this court is whether the pressing of breast and attempt to remove salwar would fall within the definition of sexual assault as defined under section 7 and punishable under section 8 of POCSO Act. She then refers to section 7, which I am not really referring right now. And then it says, refers in section 17, para 17, that the trial court convicted. Now see her reasoning. In 18, while reversing the conviction order under section 7 of POCSO. Evidently, it is not the case of the prosecution that the appellant removed her top and pressed her breast. The punishment provided for offense of sexual assault is imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 3 years, but which may extend to 5 years, and shall also be liable to fine, considering the stringent nature of punishment provided for the offense. In the opinion of this court, stricter proof and serious allegations are required. Now, what does she mean serious allegations are required? Is it not serious enough to fall within section 7 to say he came into physical contact of the prosecutrix? The act of pressing breast of the child aged 12 years in the absence of any specific detail as to whether the top was removed or whether he inserted his hands inside top and pressed her breast would not fall in the definition of sexual assault. It would certainly fall within the definition of offense under section 354 of IPC. For ready reference, section 354 is extracted. Now let us read 7 and 354 in tandem to each other to understand what is the difference here and whether this particular detailing which the judge wanted to be there in para 18, so to say only in that case the case could have fallen under section 7. Let us see section 7's requirement, or the judge is reading something beyond comprehension. It is even wrong to say a super technical approach. This is some approach which is neither even whispered in the under the act, nor even close to the objective. Normally, interpretation has to be to bring a nexus, to bring the interpretation of the provisions close to the objective of the act. And if there is some missing link by way of interpretation, to create that bridge. So sometimes the interpretation of the code creates a bridge between the provision and the objective of the act. Now let us see what section 7 says. Whoever with sexual intent, so intent has to be there, sexual intent has to be there, touches whether vagina, penis, anus or breast of the child, leave this portion, or does any act with sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration is said to commit sexual assault. We need not even to fall in this one. So this itself would complete an act under section 7, complete an offense under section 7. In my submission, the allegation of this case, where it says he pressed the breast, completes an offense here. Why I say complete the offense? I understand the judge was getting into the arena to say, no, the prosecution could not establish sexual intent. So for allegation purpose, this was good enough to say he pressed. You don't need to really get into whether skin to skin was touched or not, or whether the hand was inserted or the top was removed. All that was the area which wasn't needed to go into. This is not only super technical, super extra superficial attempt to put in to somehow allow the accused to get rid of that allegation or the punishment. Sexual intent aspect we would find is a presumption under section 29 and section 30, where the intent has to be assumed, has to be legally, there is a legal presumption, compulsory presumption of sexual intent. Now see the further error in the judgment. Like the judge did not even stop here. Now section 354, which has also fortunately been extracted here, says whosoever assaults or uses criminal force to any woman with the intention to outrage her modesty shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 1 year. This is much, much lesser punishment than section 7. Punishment is provided in the section 8. It is a general provision, which even for a woman more than of an age of 18, you know, the legislation with further amendments of 2013 brought in all sorts of sexual harassment and assaults to increase the vigor of law against the sexual harassment of women. Now see, the judge has gone beyond and it says in para 19, so the act of pressing breast can be a criminal force to a woman girl with the intention to outrage her modesty. The minimum punishment provided for this offense is 1 year, which may extend to 5 years. And then let's see 22. The last question I'm just reading. She opened the door, she found her daughter crying, she brought her daughter out of the room, her daughter narrated the incident to her. All these events form the parts of the same transaction. So everything is completed. The man took her away, locked her in a room, tried to exceed, and then 26, which is far more horrendous. To aggravate what the judge observed in para 18, she aggravated the observation by saying it is not the case of the prosecution that the appellant removed the top and pressed the breast. As such, there is no direct physical contact. That is skin to skin with sexual intent without penetration. Forget penetration part here because that wasn't an allegation here. We are not bringing a case under section 5, but section 7. But here, unfortunately, the judge adds words in the section. So to give a technical approach to it, to say unless skin of the victim is touched by skin of the perpetrator, the offense would not be made out. And that's the troubling part. That is why it has created so much of the furor. That are you really suggesting that grouping itself, pressing the body parts, traveling the hands of the accused over the part of the body of the child, any part of the body, would not be falling in the offense of POCSO? And then that would be, you would be trivializing the purpose of bringing POCSO so badly. Now, if you see for a moment, why we say this is so much troubling, just read sections 11 along with it. If we see the scheme of the POCSO Act, right from section 3, section 5, section 7, section 11, which deals with 3 deals with penetration, 7 deals with sexual assault, 11 deals with all sorts of sexual harassment, which is even by words, gestures, showing body parts, making the child to show the body parts, all sorts of it. So what is irony would be if this interpretation is acceptable, then gestures is an offense towards a child. Making gestures, using words, utterances, sounds, those are offenses. Penetration is an offense. But grouping when a layer of cloth is coming. So maybe the layer of cloth is over the child or a layer of cloth is over the man. Now assume a case where the person disrobes the child completely. So child doesn't have the cloth on her body part. And a man is also not having any cloth on his body part, but using a glove, a handkerchief. Then as per this interpretation, it would not be an offense under 7. So either you brings a case to Panis, and in that case, in fact, when we were discussing, what about if the protections are used by the man? If he's using contraceptives, if he's using a condom, then again, even for penetration, one would say, no, no, skin to skin is not touched. Like, where are we reaching? And this is an obnoxious interpretation, to say the least. Yes, Mami Prachi?
You rightly pointed out, ma'am. The conduct and intention of the accused should be looked into now, and one should ignore the technicalities, and the purpose of the law should be served. Ma'am, and next question to you is the AG Attorney General mentioned that it will be setting up this judgment of Bombay High Court will be setting up a dangerous president. What is your views on that, ma'am?
See, in fact, people would appreciate that it's not as if every now and then matters are reaching to courts by way of a mentioning by the Attorney General. It's not that every second case is being mentioned by Attorney General to the court, to the highest court of the country. So to say the judgment is wrong. Judgments, as I was mentioning earlier, judgments may go wrong. The judge may commit mistaken interpretation on law or on facts. Either of the aggrieved party would approach the courts of law, the next court, and the judgment would be then discussed and maybe sometimes upheld, sometimes be overturned. Why in this case the Attorney General had to really take up this exceptional stand, an exceptional move of approaching the court, mentioning it orally? You both must be aware that here in this case, not only this judgment immediately reported everywhere, and it created so much of the unrest. The National Commission for Women said that they should have press note saying we are challenging this order. Then the National Commission for Child Right Protection, they wrote a letter to the Maharashtra government that please file an appeal, because it completely frustrates suddenly the whole exercise, all the efforts made in the area, in this particular field of law, where people were working since ages to bring some kind of reprieve from sexual offenses against children, and children here we do not mention as a particular gender, be it male child or be it female child. The the law so far we have progressed well. We have brought in amendments to section 354 to bring in stalking, voyeurism, breach of privacy, and so many aspects in outrage of modesty, expanded the scope of it. We have brought in Information Technology Act, where section 66E deals with even texting, messaging into cyber crime, and a punishable offense. So you can't text me, you can't send me SMSs, you can't send me WhatsApp messages which are having a sexist tone and outraging my modesty, even by words, even by pictures. So we were progressing in the area where we are ensuring that the women are not being sexually harassed. We have brought in 2013 Act, which is dealing with the sexual harassment of women at workplace. All that, then POCSO came. All that was bringing, 376 was amended so broadly that it says insertion of any object, any kind of object would be bringing it within the definition of rape. So with all that progress being done, in place of having a much more purposeful interpretation, like it refused to meet the sense of any kind of reasons where you say if you are wearing clothes, somebody comes and groups you. So a man comes and kisses a child, or like a person comes and kisses a child wearing clothes on all of her or his body part, touches, groups, presses. If this interpretation is taken, then it would be damaging the whole concept so badly. And that's why it was so bad precedent that had to be immediately taken care of, dealt with, and it has to be weeded out from the record. Unfortunately, the judgment would remain there. But such kind of judgment should be, there should be a procedure that these judgments, which are so horrendously bad, should be weeded out from the record, not to be there. But would you believe that, we are coming across such kind of interpretation one after another? So far, I have seen there are 4 judgments by this lady judge. And every single one is far more, damaging than the other one. She has a special, approach, some approach which can't be met to any reasonable person's mind. Any sense of reasons.
Absolutely, ma'am.
There can be error in judgment in one judgment, ma'am, but there cannot be error in 3 in one line, 3 or 4 judgments in one line.
We today got the 4th one.
Yes, ma'am, 4th one. Ma'am, please explain us where the judge has gone horribly wrong.
For this judgment, I explained you that section 7, she was reading something which no reasonable person can even think of, that you would take a sexual assault. One would have to understand what is assault and what is sexual assault. So somebody comes and, here she says skin to skin touch. In another judgment of recent one only, these are like 14 January, 15 January, 28 January, then like in this month itself, within a span of 15 days, all these judgments are coming because she might be having roster of this particular act. Now she says a man is holding hand of the girl in another judgment, removed his pant, attempted to rape the girl, attempted to. Since it wasn't proved, or maybe the prosecution could not narrate in so many detailing, she says even that would not be falling under section 7. Here the hand-to-hand touch is skin-to-skin touch. Then in another judgment, where the girl is 17 years old, 17 years and 9 months old, she says, he established a physical relationship with me, cohabited with me number of times. So act would also be covered under section 376 to end multiple events or acts of cohabitation. There also she says, since you have forgot or you have not mentioned how many rooms that house has, how could you get that privacy? How did the family did not object to it? Since these detailings are missing, she refused to believe the narration of the girl, where the law is the sole statement of prosecutrix is good enough to establish an act of 376. But for every single single case just to put out POCSO from the ambit or to punish the person within the provisions of POCSO, where you have the legal presumption against the accused. Legal presumption that there cannot be any consent, legal presumption that the sexual intent was there. When the punishments are far more stringent. In fact, section 42 says that the judge finds the act punishable both under the provisions of IPC and under the POCSO Act, then the punishment which is on the higher side have to be imposed upon the person. She forgets even that aspect. In none of her judgments, she has cited any precedent, any interpretation, so to say, that I am following this line of interpretation. She is walking on her own path, and every single judgment go on beyond comprehension. Like one cannot, no reasonable person can understand even that thought process, where she is not finding the act good enough to fall within the ambit of section 7 or the provisions of POCSO.
If we refer, ma'am, my next question to you is, if we look into the Act, Section 24 speaks for recording of statement of child. Here, the police officer should be, the Act specifically mentions that the police officer should be a female police officer or a woman
Yes.
police officer.
Yes.
And if we refer to Section 27, where the medical examination of a child, it should be specifically done by a female doctor. So under this Act, again and again, they are mentioning that the child should be handled by a female officers. So, so this Act specifically mentioned that it should be handled by the female officers, female judges. So the focus is on the female woman, so that they can understand the victim in a better way. So does and the irony of this today, the irony is that the judgments have come from the women judge.
Right.
So does it frustrate the very object of the Act itself, that appointing a female, when Act specifically says that there should be a female officers?
Prachi, you know, we have been advocating this since beginning, and whenever a serious matter comes to Supreme Court, the first thrust is of the lawyers, of the judge, even of the complainants, that let the matter be handled by a senior female judge. Even in Supreme Court, you would find, just try to see the judgment, all those very, very, sensitive cases when it comes, they make sure, be it High Court, be it Supreme Court, that at least one judge is a female judge. Be it Nirbhaya, you take any of the matter, they would always try to bring in a female judge. Chinmayanand's case was delegated to a female judge in Supreme Court, to give you a kind of guarantee as a society, as a complainant, that, you know, a female judge is there, she would surely be understanding your trauma, your concern, and would be more sensitive towards the cause. And that is the idea. So here also, the provisions here in POCSO says preferably a woman doctor, preferably a women prosecutor, preferably a woman police person. And, you know, even for the lawyers, if you see the model guidelines which have been framed under the Act, under Section 39, the Government of India had issued model guidelines to be followed by all the states. That also says specially trained. You have to have special police officers, special prosecutors, those who have been trained, who have been made child interest, having that concern of child interest, to keep the child interest paramount in their mind, and to ensure that they are not having a superficial approach of things, not a regular criminal court approach, not a regular criminal cases approach, criminal jurisprudence approach, where the accused have to be treated as innocent until proven guilty. You know, because here the presumption is that the moment an allegation is made, the accused has to be treated guilty unless he is able to discharge the burden, he is able to rebut the presumption against him or against her. But unfortunately here, when this kind of approach is adopted by a female judge, it really pushes back whole of that exercise, whole of that advocacy that let the female judges be there. In fact, we keep saying recently when 9 women lawyers filed a petition, a PIL in Supreme Court, when an MP, Madhya Pradesh High Court judge granted bail to the rape accused, saying, go and tie Rakhi, go with 11,000 or 1100 rupees to the girl and hand out a sweet box and all that. The argument was we have to make judges more sensitive. We have to educate them. We have to have more women as judges everywhere, you know, to bring that kind of assurance and a more sensitive society. The judiciary is more sensitive towards the causes. But unfortunately, here, since all that has come from a women judge, it has completely thrown to six whole of that approach, that argument, that thought process. And therefore, this is far more damaging. We would have easily criticized that by saying, no, no, the man, commit this mistake. Their approach is so bad. But unfortunately, what to do? This is a woman judge who is not, has done one mistake. She's, shocking you on daily basis. It's the fourth judgment today which has come to the public light. We do not know how many which have gone unnoticed. Yes, Tommy?
True. Really, it is very shocking to know why this kind of approach is adopted by that particular judge in the cases of POCSO Act.
And I have just noticed now today that has again come out. Madras High Court or Madras District Court, one of the courts, they have granted bail because the accused has said that he would marry the girl who had been impregnated by him and she is only 16 years. Now, how come the judge is accepting that promise? Because she is not of a marriageable age. And can bail be granted in such circumstance? Now, recently I'm told today itself, today is 29 January, today Delhi High Court has granted bail to a rape accused for raping, the allegation is of raping a 2.5 years old child. And can you believe the ground is delay in lodging FIR, and delay is how much? 8 hours. So if we have not seen the order yet, we have seen the reporting, the legal reporting. If this is correct, then what is happening to our country? Are we only getting shocked but the judiciary is adopting a particular approach because it's not one judge, one place. Now we have Madras, we have Maharashtra, we have now Delhi High Court. So, I mean, seriously, what is going wrong? Like, are we in a verge of redrafting things or trivializing the offense against women? Because every single of them, the victim is the woman only, be a female child or women. So horrendous is the one word one can use.
I agree, ma'am. The approach that is being taken, we've heard people say that, we don't need feminism anymore. We have equal rights for everybody. And then we have such judgments that come out, which are so bad that it's not about women, it's about children now. I mean, the fact that the judgments are coming, that is wrong. But it's not for women as a whole. They're not even, I mean, this approach is being taken for small children who are the victims, which is POCSO Act. And I think you're absolutely right when you say that the approach is, I mean, it's unacceptable for us. I mean, ma'am, how do you think that the victims who will read these judgments, God forbid, but there are so many cases that keep on happening, and if somebody wants to report it and they read such judgments, what impact do you think these judgments will have on their mind?
See, Naomi, like you must have noticed in this act, you have section 19, and then which says it is a mandate to report the case. It's a punishable offense if you have come to know about any such act, even as a bystander, even somebody who's passing by. You may not be knowing the child, but if you have seen the incident, if you have noticed a child abuse in whatever manner covered by any of the sections of POCSO Act, then it's your duty under law. You are mandated to lodge a complaint. And if you don't do, then that act is punishable. So reporting is a mandate for you. If you go to the police officer, if he is refusing to report, that's again a punishable offense. But if you fail to report, even as a third person, even as a passerby, that's against an offense. But if interpretation of this nature comes, then would it not be desensitizing the persons? As it is, it's not as if every single case of child abuse is being reported, since the punishments are so stringent and the presumptions are there, legal presumptions are there under section 29 and 30. So many of the child abuse cases remains at home, in the four walls of home. They don't even report it. People come and give excuses. Now here in this case, what if tomorrow, the accused takes a defense? No, there was a handkerchief in my hand. You have not mentioned that I've seen there was a skin to skin touch. Like, why don't we reach to that stage also after this judgment? So the whole approach would be changing. You would be having, all these kind of now arguments to be developed, because now you have a judicial green signal for all these kind of approaches to be adopted and arguments to be given. As it is too difficult to handle sexual harassment cases. Handle means for a complainant to pursue it, for the family to pursue it. And if the judiciary shows this kind of insensitiveness, then God forbid where we are reaching. The act came in 2000, POCSO came in 12, POSH came in 13. The 354 amendments, IPC amendments have been done in 13. We are in 2021. Still, there is no end of women harassment, sexual harassment of women and female girl child. And if these approaches are adopted, and if the public at large gets the impression, okay, the acts can be interpreted in this manner, it is adding salt to injury. We are going backward now. We have, it's very easy when you have nothing to bring up something and to address the cause. You have an act and the interpretation goes like this. It pushes you back so badly. In fact, you won't believe this judgment was reported very, very widely in social media. So somebody posted in a Facebook account also. You would be feeling ashamed to see the observations, the comments by the boys, by the male. They welcomed the judgment. It was so, I would say that was again a further sexual harassment to read those observations. They said this judge should be felicitated. We should have more women judges like them. They said, good, at least someone has come who can understand that what would be the sexual harassment, and unless skin to skin touch is there, it would not be any objection. So tomorrow you are passing by, a child is going through, or you are yourself passing by from a public place, somebody comes and hug you, no offense, at the best 354. But if skin to skin not there tomorrow, why not somebody says, no, the judge was wrong, it was not even 354. Because if for a child abuse it is not falling within 7, then the same expression, physical contact expression, is used in 354 also, 354A. There under IPC, you do not even have a legal presumption. There is no legal presumption of sexual intent. Then if this is not a physical contact under 7, how come this be a physical contact under 354A? So though here the judge says it would be falling under 354, but if her interpretation is right for 7, then it would not be falling under even under 354A or 354 for that matter. So basically, a hugging, touching your body parts, doing whatever with your body parts would not be an offense. So it causes a very serious damage. That's why the Attorney General was so boggled up, and he immediately mentioned the matter and said this would be setting a bad precedent. It is damaging. It is, you know, throwing all that efforts to dust. It's far more. It's like the damage is beyond words. Even, you know, and I'm just wondering what is the how would you undo the damage? One is you set aside the judgment. The judge has to be reprimanded. Setting aside the judgment alone would not be serving the cause. The judge has to be reprimanded in all possible ways by the superior courts.
Absolutely, ma'am. That was actually my next question. I wanted to ask you, what do you think should be done? So since you've already answered.
So, like, if you ask me that what is the solution,
Yes.
like where to go from here? So one is this judgment has to be set aside. It has not to be simplistically set aside. The Supreme Court must deal with this judgment very sternly. They must not simply say that for all possible senses of reasonability, this is a bad judgment. They must deal with it, why it is bad. What is the definition of sexual assault? What do you mean by physical contact? Can physical contact be technically seen, so to say, skin to skin? Is that mean physical contact? Then am I wearing clothes is not a physic? When somebody rubs his shoulder with my shoulder, would it not be a physical contact? And then setting aside, knocking down the reasonings, explaining the term to avoid any further nonsense and nuisance. I'm sorry I'm using this kind of word for a judicial order, but actually to say so, the judge has to be badly reprimanded. Unfortunately, she has been regularized only a few days back. While she was writing these kind of judgments, from 14th January, 15th January, 20th January, then thereafter, she has been regularized in between this period, from 14th January to 22nd of January, or between 14th January to 25th of January. Between this period only she has been regularized. So can you believe how mechanical our process of regularization is? What is the purpose then of actually keeping a judge as additional judge for a year or two and then to regularize if there is no application of mind even in that process? Can you believe this judge was in Judicial Academy a deputy director? What kind of training she might be giving? She is not a direct appointee. She is not somebody who is directly elevated as a High Court judge. She has a promotee judge. She was a principal district judge. Then what kind of judgments she must be passing there? And if her approach has been that wrong, then how could she brought into High Court? How come all that has been missed out? How come her judgments have not been scrutinized for last 1 year before she was made regular? And what to do? Like, after becoming regular, the impeachment is the only process. Can this be a ground enough for impeachment? I'm not sure. If that is not a ground for ensure, do we have to bear this judge for all these years now because she would be having a long tenure? She's an appointee of 2019. With the age in her side, she has another, if she retires as a High Court judge, she has another good 12 years in hand. At least 10 years or 12 years, I'm not sure about her age. But till she attains the age of 62, she has all those years. Is she a deserving person? Is she safe enough to be continued on the board as a High Court judge? And if we have no option but to bear her, then I believe with this kind of liberal approach, at the best, she should be allocated only the amnesty cases, where she can actually award compensations liberally to the victims. But like, according to me, neither as a public nor as an institution, the judiciary should be compelled to bear a judge like that. This should not be something to be tolerated with, because the approach, it is not as if you would say qua one area of law she is going wrong. Your reasons are wrong, your approach is wrong, and that's why it makes you not a fit person to be there. But the immediate solution is set aside the judgment, reprimand the judge grossly, and for sure she has to be removed from this roster with immediate effect, or maybe to kept without work and maybe without pay for another 6 months. Some lesson. Why should only the persons, the society suffer? Why not the person who is committing the mistake is made to suffer?
Absolutely, ma'am, I agree. Would you like to add?
This could be the solution, ma'am, what you were suggesting.
We can just think aloud. We can, sometimes just
mindset,
thinking aloud. These kind of things happen, not on a daily course. So maybe solutions are not written. You have a rule book written and dealing with it. But these are the exceptional circumstances, exceptional kinds of instances. And unfortunately, since, she has written not one, but 4 judgments of this nature, which we could have come across. A research is needed where all her judgments have to be seen, not only in this field of law, but maybe for other field of law as well. Like how much damage she is causing, and if the damage is only in the field of POCSO, then all those judgments to be, I believe, to be relooked. Why not all her cases which she has decided so far with this erroneous approach are heard afresh? It simply because other judgments remained unnoticed and may not be as obnoxious as these are. Why that be allowed to be there? An approach is needed where we are actually threadbare discussing it out and saying, sorry, we are not going to tolerate all that. We means here that even the higher judiciary would have to say that.
Absolutely, ma'am. I mean, personally, such judgments really trouble me, because reading such things and going into the profession reading such things, it's very difficult that what are we supposed to be facing now? Is this what we are going to be coming into? So it's difficult, but I think the appeal has been already, the Supreme Court has already stayed the order, so that is one good step. And ma'am, if you have anything else to add, can we have your closing thoughts, please?
Like we can close it with this, that these are 4 judgments which have come in light. I believe the Supreme Court should take cognizance of all the 4 judgments without even waiting for any appeal to come. Because you never know whether the complainants in all these 4 matters or the rest of the 3 matters have the means to come to Supreme Court, have the legal advice to come to Supreme Court. Sometimes, the battle becomes so tough and so tiring that you may end up saying, sorry, forget it. I'm not actually fighting it anymore. But then, since it has come into light, the Supreme Court must take cognizance on its own, suo motu cognizance of all the 4 cases, stay them with immediate effect, and then deal with each one of them. And a big message must go, because now, as I mentioned, we have today seen a Delhi High Court judgment, then another Maharashtra District Court judgment, one Madras High Court, the other earlier one, this was Madhya Pradesh High Court. We earlier had a Delhi High Court judgment, again Delhi District Court, sorry, where on the promise of getting married, the accused was let go. So a stern message must come from Supreme Court that enough is enough. Or why not give a crash course to all these judges, to whomsoever they are going to allocate this particular roster to deal with crime against women. Please have a crash course done. In place of wasting judicial time in dealing with the appeals and these kind of obnoxious judgments, wasting precious time. Even if an attorney general has to come and mention, you know, it's a senior most government officer, legal law officer, then why to waste all this time? Let's give a crash course to them, a one month course or 15 days course, sensitize them, and then only give them the roster. It might delay the process by 15 days, but then you would be saved by all that absurdity, all that pain. This judgment has been reported so heavily, discussed so heavily, caused enough immense pain amongst public at large. We all could have been saved with that pain. So I believe a serious thought has to be, unfortunately, in that recent case where I was mentioning the 9 women lawyers came and Supreme Court, while dealing with the issue, and Attorney General there also had been very, very progressive to, so to say, that the approach has to be improved and the judges have to be sensitized towards the crime against women issues. And their approach has to be much more progressive, sensitive, in tandem with the objectives of the acts, in tandem with the provisions of law. So I believe a much serious message has to go, much bigger message has to go from the higher judiciary. And if it requires naming and enlisting all these erring judges from the entire country, I believe the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of India has to issue notice to all the Chief Justices of High Court, asking them to do an auditing of the judges who are dealing with the cases of this nature, take a report, see who all have erred, approached in this manner, and please give an immediate crash course to all of them to begin with. And then we can improve the rest of the judiciary later, but at least those who are erring, because you know, that is also, as we the women of India, when we talk about improving the mindset, changing the mindset, be it men and women, I believe that would be the first step. Or we can request the higher judiciary, give these judges to us, let us train them. With this note, we can actually end.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your extremely valuable thoughts. And I really hope that whatever we've discussed, people hear, people understand, and they actually act on it, and not just hear, like, they don't just hear, but they listen and they understand that we are not coming from a place of any spite, but we're coming from a place where we are actually concerned, not for us also, but also for future generations who are going to be reading such and maybe using such judgments as defenses. And I hope some action is taken.
Mami, I would add one line here. You know, in schools there is a compulsory requirement now for teachers to teach the students about bad touch and good touch.
Yes.
Can you believe, just when you were speaking, you know, I was just wondering if this kind of judgment, and assume for a moment that a particular segment of society does not come to know about the stay granted by Supreme Court or the judgment being overturned, right? And the approach is this: what the teachers would be telling to the students, how would they supposed to now distinguish between the good touch and bad touch? So uncle came, wanted to give you sweets and wanted to take you out, or maybe touching your body or touching your shoulder or touching something else. Now it's not falling in the bad touch. So like when Prachi was asking me dangerous precedents, you know, the repercussions of this judgment are beyond our comprehension. You know, it is multifold. Tomorrow, what are the teachers going to say? Unless the uncle is inserting his hand under your clothes, that's not a bad touch. Can you imagine? So thanks, Prachi and Nomi. You people have been very intelligent in posing the questions, which are very right and very good. And I'm glad we discussed this very, very serious issue, which we had to on our platform and our forum. And let us do something more than beyond discussing it. Let us make some representation and approach the concerned authorities.
Absolutely.
Thank you all. Thank you, both of you.